Hey everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, in this week's guitar lesson we're going to take a look at a solo blues composition that I'm playing on an acoustic guitar, although you could do this on electric as well. And this is something that you can play with no accompaniment. You can play it all by yourself. You don't need a jam track, you don't need another musician. All you need is a guitar and a pick and you're good to go. And I threw in some jazz chords in there as well, so there's an interesting chord composition in this little piece. And you'll be doing, the first time through, you'll notice I played just the rhythm chords, but the second time through I threw in some little lead fill licks in between, and that's a really fun way to kind of have a little jam session with yourself, and you can improvise and extend that out as long as you want. So anyway, we're going to break this down into two parts. So in this video we're going to take a look at the first half, which will be the chords. If you want to watch the second half and learn how to do the fill licks, go to ActiveMelody.com and look for EP134. That's a lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started with part one. Alright, so there's a lot of different chords in this composition. There's a lot of minor seventh and major seventh chords, and that's what gives it more of a jazzy feel than just if I had just played the 1, 4, and 5 chord that you might hear in traditional 12-bar blues. And I get that style from listening to artists like Bessie Smith. If you ever listen to her stuff, she's always got a piano accompaniment, and it's just sort of a non-traditional arrangement. It's a little more jazzy. I think it sounds a little more sophisticated. And so that's what we're going to be learning. I'll call out the chords as we get to them. But the first thing that happens is this intro that goes. And I resort to that intro. I also end the song with that, and I also use it to kind of break up the different parts. So that's something that's common if you're into songwriting and you're wanting to make your own compositions. Think of an intro, something that's a little hook, and then you can kind of resort to that to kind of get between parts, get between verses or choruses or whatever. But I'll tell you where I got this. This is from Robert Johnson, Kind-Hearted Woman. So I love that song. I love the way that he plays it. And the way that we're going to start this is exactly that same way. That's where I got this from. So what I'm making here with my left hand, that's a D chord shape. So those of you who know how to make a chord, D chord down in first position. It's the same chord shape, but we're making it on strings 2, 3, and 4. So our middle finger and our pointer finger are on the 5th fret, strings 2 and string 4, and then our ring finger here is on the 6th fret, string 3. And we're going to play the middle 4 strings, so 5, 4, 3, and 2. And we're just going to walk this D chord shape down 2 times, so we're going to from where we start. And the way that I started it was by picking it apart like this. So it's 5, 4, and then 3 and 2. And then I slide that down 1, and then I'm going to strum all 4 middle strings again. So now we're going to walk it down one more time. Again, playing the middle 4 strings. And then we're going to switch the shape to play so that we're playing an A 7th chord. And what I do for that is I just use my ring finger and on the 2nd fret 2nd string, my middle finger on the 2nd fret 4th string. So it leaves that 3rd string as an open string, or the open G string. And when you play the middle 4 strings, you get an A 7th chord played that way. So back to the beginning, we have. Okay, then I do this little break, little lead part to break it up. And all I'm doing is walking right up the A major pentatonic scale. Major pentatonic scale, pattern 1 would be here. So I'm playing those notes out of that. And so my ring finger starts here on the 2nd fret 5th string. And I slide up to the 4th fret. And we're just going to do a little box here between these 2 frets. We're going to go back and forth between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. Then that string is on the 2nd fret 4th string, 4th fret 4th string, and the last note there is on the 2nd fret 3rd string. And there's just alternate picking with the right hand, down, up, down, up. Okay, so let's back up. We have. Okay, now when I got to the top there, I went back and hit that low A string, or the low open 5th string. And then this time I'm just going to walk straight down. And I'm hitting the open 5th string between each of those strums. If I did it really slowly, it would be. And for that final A7th, I went. So I just slid it down and then back. Alright, so let's try it again from the start. We have. Okay, now we're ready to start this thing. And the way that I started is I stayed on the A7th chord, so that's nice. So we're not switching to a new chord to start playing the verse, if you will. So for this, and the strumming pattern, the way to think of it is I start by playing the low string of whatever the chord is, or the root of the chord. So I'm playing the open 5th string here, and I'm doing a little palm muting to get this sound. That's where you mute the strings with this part of your hand. And that's how you're going to want to play that, the rhythm of this. So it's the open 5th string, played twice, and then we're going to strum a chord, and then the open 5th again, and then we're going to play that chord again. That's a down up. So slowly it looks like this. Let's do it again. Okay. So then I walked up to the C sharp 7th chord. Now for that walk up, that happens here on the 5th string. And so what I do is I just let my pointer finger cross over here to the 2nd fret 5th string, 3rd fret 5th string, up to the 4th. And I make sure to use my ring finger when I'm playing the 4th fret on the 5th string, because that's part of the C sharp 7th chord. And that's how you make the chord. Now, a lot of you know how to make a C 7th chord down in 1st position. In fact, let's start there. It's the easiest way to explain it. Just make a C chord. I know you know how to make that. So we just add our pinky here on the 3rd fret, 4th string. Well, that's a C 7th, so slide that up one. That's a C sharp 7th. So that's what we're making there. So back from the from the A 7th. And again, same little strum pattern where you're accenting in the same places. Now I'm gonna keep my ring finger in position. Always look for when you're switching between chords. Always look for shared fingerings. So if you can keep one finger in position to switch to another chord, that's a major bonus, and take advantage of it. So I keep my ring finger there on the 4th fret, 5th string, and I go ahead and bar on the 2nd fret. I just bar all 6 strings. And what I'm making there is an F sharp minor 7. So we've basically played an A 7th, a C sharp 7th, now we're at an F sharp minor 7th. And we're going to do the same little strum pattern. So I'm doing the 1, 2, or hitting that twice rather, that low string, or the low 6th string, played on the 2nd fret. And then there's your strums. Okay, from this, let's take it back from, we won't do the intro again, let's take it from the A 7th where it starts. Now we're going to come up and play an E minor 7th chord like this. And I'm just going to play it, I'm going to do down, up, down when I strum it. Now the way to make this is you bar the 7th fret, all 6 strings, and then you're, well, here's the easy way to think of it. If you know how to make a minor chord, so if we were making an E minor chord, it's that same chord shape, you just take your pinky away. That's an E minor 7. So that by taking your pinky away, you add that 7. So basically you bar the 7th fret, and then your middle finger is on the 8th fret, 2nd string, your ring finger's on the 9th fret, 4th string. And we're going to play down, up, down. Now we're going to hold that shape, but we're going to slide everything down 2 frets, and then I'm going to take my middle finger and ring finger and jump up a set of strings like that. So, so you're doing that at the same time, and it's actually easy to do. I'm making it sound more complicated. But all you're doing is you're coming down here so that you can play an A 7th chord in this position. And the way that you make that chord is barring all 6 strings on the 5th fret, and then your middle finger now is on the 3rd string, 6th fret. Ring fingers on the 5th string, 7th fret. So you can see what you've done is you've moved from this shape, slid down, these 2 fingers come off and go down. Even though they're spaced the same distance apart, they're just on a different set of strings. Now the only other nuance that I would point out is that I hammered that on like this, which makes it even easier because you're taking your hand off the fretboard to switch chords anyway, so it just gives it more of a bluesy feel to hammer them on. So you go. Let me try that again. Hear the difference? Just by hammering it on versus just playing it straight. So so just keep that in mind. Now after that, actually before we move on, let's back up. So from the A 7th, I'll play it from there slowly up to where we are. Now that time I just played the E minor 7th, I just did 2 downstrokes. And a lot of this depends, I always have a hard time getting this exactly accurate, and I know some people will pick apart and say, hey, wait, on the tab you did it this way, and when you played it live you did it this way. But that's how it is. That's something something you have to accept when you're learning this, because it's a strum, so it's kind of like tapping your hands on a drum. If you're slowing the tempo down, you're going to play it a little different than you do if you play it up to tempo. So anyway, either one will work. You could do just 2 downstrokes, or you could do what I mentioned, which was a down, up, down. Either way it'll work. Alright, so the next chord we're going to make is a D major 7. Now you'll notice if you're looking at the tab, if you see a capital M 7, that means major 7. If you see a lowercase m, that means minor 7. Just a little thing to point out there. But the way we're going to make that chord is a great sounding chord. The way I think of it is I think of what these 3 fingers are doing. Now they're making, if you look at the shape they're making, it's the exact same shape as if you're playing a D 7th chord. A lot of you know how to make a D 7th down in 1st position. Well, it's that same shape, you're just on a different set of strings. So instead of being on strings 1, 2, and 3, like you'd be here, you're on strings 2, 3, and 4. So your pinky is on the 7th fret 2nd string, and your ring finger is on the 7th fret 4th string. And your middle finger goes down on the 6th fret 3rd string. So that's what those 3 fingers are doing. Now the only thing in addition to that is a bar that goes across the 5th fret with your index or your pointer finger. Now the way that you play that is you're going to play strings 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great sounding chord, very jazzy. So that's a D major 7. And we're playing that, so you play the E minor 7, and then the A 7, and then the D minor 7. Now the one thing you want to analyze and get scientific about is look at what needs to move between the A 7 and the D major 7. Well, notice my middle finger is in the same spot, so it doesn't have to move. So all that's really moving are my ring finger and pinky. So just kind of practice switching between those 2 chords. Okay, so that's your D major 7th, and so I played that with that strum pattern. Down, up, down, up, up, down. Now, we're going to take our pinky off, and we're going to move our middle finger back so that it's on the 2nd string on the 6th fret. So let's listen to those 2 chords together. So you have the D major 7th, and then by doing this, you're creating a D minor 7th. Okay, now after that we come back to the A7th, just like we learned at the beginning, straddling these two strings. And the only thing I would point out is to make sure you can do the down, up, but when you do the up, that you're hitting the one string. It creates a little bit of a melody. Like that. Now, the next two chords we're going to play are really cool. This first one is an augmented chord, so it's an F sharp augmented 7, and it sounds like this. Very jazzy. And when you combine that with the F sharp 7, it resolves on this 7 or the F sharp, and you can hear. Great two chords to learn because you can always play that augmented chord, which is just a natural kind of bridge to your ear. It says we're going somewhere, and then to resolve it on that F sharp 7. It sounds great, I think. So let me show you those two chords. So the F sharp augmented 7 is played by, to think about it here, my ring finger and my pinky are both on the 3rd fret. Pinky's on the 2nd string, ring finger's on the 3rd string. Okay, so then you take your middle finger and you go down on the 2nd fret, 4th string. So that's those four. Now, your pointer finger goes down on the 2nd fret, 6th string, and it kind of lightly touches the 5th string at the point that it's laying across it so that it mutes it. You're actually not playing the 5th string. So you're playing strings 6, 4, 3, and 2 when you're playing that. And that's what the chord looks like. You can hear it if I pick it apart. Hear how that's muted? And some of you may be struggling going, oh man, it's like too hard to grab that and mute that string. But you'll find that it's actually very easy to do because your finger will just naturally touch it the way that you can see how my hand is contorted like that. And so you're not angling it where that it's super precise and letting that string ring out. And it's easy for you to just kind of let it touch the string. But that's how that chord should sound. That's the F sharp augmented 7. And then the next chord is just an F sharp 7. Now that's exactly the same as playing that A7 up here that we learned. Same as an A major chord. Just take the pinky away. Well, same thing here now, but instead we're barring the 2nd fret. There's your F sharp major chord. Just take your pinky away, and that one little change gives it a 7. A little bluesier. Okay, so we've learned a lot of different chords. Let's back up and put everything into context as to where we are at this point. So I'll start it on the A7th. We'll skip the intro for this time through. C sharp 7, F sharp minor 7, E minor 7, A 7th. Here's the D major 7. Now we're going to do the D minor 7. Back to the A 7th. Here's that F sharp augmented 7. There's the F sharp 7. Now we're going to stay in this position. We're going to keep our bar there, in fact. But watch this. We're just going to jump up with these two fingers. They're going to be in exactly the same position. They're just going to switch strings so that they're up a set of strings. So my ring finger jumps up 1 so that it's on the 4th fret, 4th string, and my middle finger jumps up 1 so that it's on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. And when I play strings 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, I'm playing a B minor 7th chord. So from the augmented chord we have really great little chord transition there. I love that. Now I'm going to slide way up here and play an E13. It's actually E13 sus4 and go, and it switches to an E9, but easy chord to make because we're literally just playing an entire bar. We're playing strings 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're barring up here on the 7th fret. And I start by playing the 7th fret 5th string. Now, in addition to that bar, I use my pinky. Some of you may want to use your ring finger, whatever's easier. But I push down, the note you're going to play is the 9th fret 1st string. And then take your pinky off. And that's how. So it's on, off, on, off. Just like that. And it has a real jazzy feel. So from the augmented chord. Now, the next thing that I played was I went right back to the intro. It's just a natural thing to do, because you can take your hand off the fretboard and play that open 5th string, or the A note. And that gives you time to put your hand back in position to make that little D chord shape so that you can walk down. Now the second time through I didn't play. I did this accidentally, but I left it in because I thought it was sounded kind of cool to mix it up. Instead of walking up, I walked backwards. I went. So I did the same slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 5th string. But then I went up to the 2nd fret 3rd string, 4th fret 4th string, 2nd fret 4th string. And then there's that open 5th string. So we can walk it back down one more time. Now the second time through, which we're going to learn in the next video, I'm going to show you how to play some lead licks in between. So which will just give it another little bit of improv, and hopefully you'll be able to take what I show you and then take it in your own direction. That's really what makes it even more fun. Okay, so let me back up and I'll play through everything. I know there's a lot of chords thrown at you. I do have them all spelled out in the tablature, so if you're a premium member, you can download that, and that'll definitely help. We'll have a little cheat sheet to look at. But let's back up from the beginning now, from the intro. I'll play through the whole thing and I'll go through it slowly. Here we go. And then we go into part 2. So hopefully you'll join me for part 2. If you're not a premium member, check it out. There's a lot of advantages to premium membership. You get the tablature, you get all the jam tracks, you get the access to the entire back catalog. A lot of perks. Okay, I'll see you in part 2.